My name is Sarah Rae. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. Today is a doubly special day, and I'll tell you why. First off, it is World IBD Day. So that means we are talking about IBD. The second reason why today is a great special day is because it is my 29th birthday. Yes. It is my birthday, and yes, I am 29, which might come to a shock to some of you if you didn't know how old I was. So yes, that's the two big importance today. I'm excited. So we are talking about my story when it comes to having Crohn's disease, which is a form of IBD. Let's just jump straight into it. So you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications of when I upload, and let's get into it. So, got a drink here with me. I'm ready. Let's talk. First things first, IBD's color for awareness is purple, which is why you see me decked out in purple. Also, purple is one of my favorite colors, as you can tell by my room. But also, my shirt is an awareness shirt. It says, I'm making IBD visible. Also, I always found it weird that I was born on World IBD Day and I would be diagnosed with IBD. So I always thought that was weird. But anyways, I did do a video once on my story, but it was like 5 minutes maybe. So I wanted to really go more in depth on my story, and I thought today was the perfect day. So first, what is IBD? I think that's where we'll start. I do have a video that goes way more in depth on what IBD is, so please check the description box for other videos on the IBD topic, that if you are interested in learning about IBD, those videos are where to go. So IBD is an autoimmune disease that means your body's attacking itself. Specifically with IBD, it's attacking your GI tract, which means anywhere from your mouth to your anus, okay? Sinuses even, and it attacks so much more than that. It can attack your eyes, your joints, and things of that nature. You have what's called a normal flora in your body, which is good bacteria. When you have IBD, your body views that normal flora as invaders. So it attacks that normal flora, sending inflammation markers, the stuff that fights off the normal bad bacteria, sends it there to fight it, but it just grows back. That's the point of normal flora, to allow you to know what is bad bacteria from the good bacteria in your body. So it just grows back, so you're essentially always going to be fighting that. So your body's always turned on, always inflamed, always having these attacks going on in different parts of your body, depending on what form of IBD you have. Specifically, what is most talked about is Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. So the difference between the two is ulcerative colitis is typically seen in the large intestine, the colon. Crohn's disease is most seen in the small intestine, but has been seen in all parts of the GI tract, even your large intestine, your colon. So I have Crohn's disease. And when you have IBD, that attack really damages where it's attacking. So what part of the intestine it's attacking, or part of the GI tract it's attacking, and it causes blood and mucus and sores and lacerations, ulcers, all type of nastiness, and it is like piranhas. I've mentioned that before. It just hurts, and it can come with a lot of baggage, like surgeries, ostomy bags, nausea, vomiting, so much that I don't think people really understand the full extent of how severe these diseases can be. My story. Let's get into it. Let's take a drink first. This rainbow chrome is like my favorite thing ever. I got like knives. I have a knife here because I use it to cut my cat's snacks. Don't ask. But it's like the same. It's like the rainbow chrome, and like I have nail art stuff that's rainbow chrome. I'm like addicted to rainbow chrome stuff. So that's off topic. Anyways, my story. So really it begins like when I was 10. So 19 years ago, I started getting sick, having trouble eating, and I mean, we'd go to the doctor and we couldn't find really much wrong, and that's kind of the epitome of my illness. A lot of times I go to the doctors with symptoms and you can't really figure out what's going on, where it's happening, things like that. That's just how it is for me, unfortunately. And so we just kept monitoring, and after a while, like, I was put on medications and nothing was working, and I was getting weaker and weaker. They were doing all sorts of tests. They tested me for everything and they couldn't find nothing. They even did a test called the Prometheus, which is really unreliable, but it tells you if you have a form of IBD. That came out chronic inflammation, which is what all my tests always says, is chronic inflammation. Thank you. But they ended up doing a scope that showed that my entire colon was gone. Like, I mean, it was killing me. It was that bad. So diseased filled that in the hospital, normally when they take out a colon, they do it in 2 steps. They take out the colon, put an ostomy in, and then the J pouch, which I have a video on that. It's just putting making an internal reservoir so you can go to the bathroom like normal. It's made out of the small intestine. So I wasn't strong enough to go through this surgery. I had to have 3 steps done because of it. I wouldn't have lasted that long to have that surgery. That's how sick I was. So they planned it. We went through the first surgery, and I remember I actually mentioned this in a video as well. The night before my first surgery, I stayed up all night with my mom playing video games on the Super Nintendo. It was like one of those old-fashioned TVs that, you know, us 90s kids we grew up with. The box TVs, which I had up until I just recently moved in July of last year. Because I'm addicted to older technology. I still have VCR tapes and 8-track tapes and cassettes, and I hate new technology. But anyways, we'd play Super Nintendo. I still have a Super Nintendo. I love it. All original hardware, everything. But we sat and played Super Mario all night until it was time for surgery. So that was my first surgery. And after this, over the next few years, I would be constantly having surgeries. Blockages, which is where, well, there's a few different blockages you can get, and I do have a video on that. You could have your bowels twist. You could be blocked by food particles, a kink, or scar tissue. There's so much that could happen. And I've pretty much gone through all different manners of ways your intestines can be blocked. So I just kept having to have surgeries and just different side effects happening. I remember there was one time I just came home from the hospital. 3 days go by and I had to go right back in for emergency surgery. I was like, are you serious? I also had a side effect of erythema nodosum, which can come with Crohn's, but it's really painful, and it happens on my legs, and it almost looks like a rash, but it's underneath your skin, and it hurt so bad. I have a video describing everything about it. As I'm gonna be saying those words all the time, but I couldn't walk. This thing that happened, it just came on suddenly and was so painful that I could not walk. I had to be carried out of the house into the car to be taken to the hospital, and they gave me potassium to ease it up. And I remember people coming from the burn units, pediatrics, all over the hospital. It was like an open door of different doctors coming in because they only ever read about this this thing in books. So it was like a rarity, and they wanted to see it in real time. It was crazy. I met my twin in the hospital. I know this is off topic, but she didn't have IBD, but she was having the same exact surgery I was having. And her birthday is today as well. Her name is Sandy, and her middle name's the exact same as mine, Rae. She grew up with just her mom, like I do. She has one brother, like I do. She was blonde, though, but she was a dancer like me, and she was really good at math like I was. She's artsy like me, and I mean, we had so much in common. Same doctor. It was just so weird. And I remember my doctor came in and was like, there's a girl here you should meet. I think you'd really like that. And I was like, no, like I don't want to meet nobody. I was like kind of depressed without knowing I was depressed. I didn't want to leave my room. I was just dealing. And he was like, well, what if I bring her to you? And I'm like, oh, fine. And I'm so glad he did, because we bonded immediately and became really good friends for so long. I mean, I still have her on my friends list and everything, so, but it was crazy how similar we were. Anyways, I continue to have surgeries. I mean, to date, I have had 18 surgeries. So after my colon was removed, the thing about it was that they figured my ulcerative colitis would have been what a few people would consider cured. I don't like to use that terminology because just because you remove the colon don't mean that disease is cured, because it's still there. If you put another colon in the body, it's going to attack it still. That disease is an autoimmune disease. It's not just gonna go away just because you remove the object it's attacking. It's still in the body, and it just don't have the object it's attacking. It's still there. It's just dormant, if that makes sense. But they figured I would have been fine, but I kept having issues. I kept having inflammation, and they would just chop it up as different things, like my J pouch. Well, it's pouchitis, and they couldn't understand why I was constantly having problems. Looking at it now, it was clear and obvious that it was Crohn's disease. And actually, we know now that surgery and Crohn's isn't an ideal mix. Actually, surgery can amp up the disease more. So if they can, they'll find alternative measures before going to surgery for people with Crohn's. If they can find other ways to work through whatever's happening first before going to the route of surgery with somebody with Crohn's disease, then they'll do that first. But because they didn't realize that I had Crohn's disease then, we just kept having surgeries. And I don't blame them, because the disease pattern, between the two is quite different, and that's really how they determine the difference between if somebody has ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Ulcerative colitis has a continuous pattern. Crohn's disease is like patchy type of a pattern, okay? So first, my disease happened in my colon, which, makes you think that it's ulcerative colitis because that takes place in your colon. But again, Crohn's disease can attack any part of your GI tract. But because my colon was so destroyed, you can't really look at the disease and decide if it's one or the other. But I understand them looking at it because it was so gone. It's the disease pattern really kind of is continuous because it took the whole colon. So I get how they came to the decision of ulcerative colitis. So just problem after problem, and it wasn't so bad then. I would say there's 3 levels, right? Acute, moderate, and severe when it comes to disease level, right? Acute is like manageable. It don't really interfere. Moderate is kind of what I had. It can interfere in your life. You do have issues, but you are still able to live your daily life, your life quite normally. But severe, things are just running rampant. It's severe, like things are bad. So moderate's in between those two, right? Okay, so I would say at that time my disease was moderate. It wasn't so much interfering because I could work full time. I was at one point working a 12-hour shift on Friday, 16 hours on Saturday, 16 on Sunday, 12 on Monday. So I was able to do that. I was also able to go to school for a year, college, manage that. I was out sometimes, and I was able to do that. So, but I did have times where I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And, it did take me out of LPN school. I was in LPN and I'm going to make a video on this, but I was in LPN school. It was a year school. Halfway through it, I had to have surgery, and then emergency surgery, and I had to get removed from the course. I'll go really in depth on that in the video that I'll be making. But so moderate, it may interfere, but not all the time. When I moved here to North Carolina from New York, I made an appointment with a GI doctor, and I told him everything, and he immediately took the chance because he thought I had Crohn's disease. And he put me on a Crohn's medication, which is something the doctors in New York didn't want to do because they didn't think the benefit outweighed the risk, where the doctor here did, before doing any tests or anything. So he immediately put me on a medication for it, and then started doing the testing. So I think that was incredible. And the medication did actually help for a while, until my body was like, yeah, no, we need a different med. And I'm finally on a great Crohn's medication that's actually really helping. So, but he's the one that finally gave me that diagnosis, because 1, the Crohn's medication's actually helping. 2, out of all the thousands, actually, he said, of hospital documents he had to take a weekend to go look at. I feel so bad. He was like, he actually had to spend a weekend personally to look at my hospital papers. But and then looking at my MRIs or x-rays or CTs and the blood work and everything, he was certain in the diagnosis of Crohn's disease. After that, my illness became worse, though. Over time, it got worse and worse and became severe. And at one point on my birthday, like a few years ago, I had to go to the hospital because my ostomy bag was full of nothing but blood. I couldn't work anymore. It was interfering so much in my work. One of my jobs, I had to leave for a week. I had to take a week off to go to Ohio to the Cleveland Clinic for testing and seeing if there's anything they can do, a second opinion type of thing on what might be a good plan of action. While there, I did go to a baseball game with my dad, because at that time I haven't seen my dad in 2 or 3 years. So, and people found out that I worked with and had a fit. My job freaked out over it, and I'm like, what'd you want me to do? Sit in my hotel room and stare at the wall? Just because I'm sick don't mean I can't do stuff. People actually think that people who are sick can't go out and do things. I'm so used to being sick that I can do everything a normal person can do while in between throwing up and being hunched over in pain every 5 minutes. Like don't talk to me about it. And I ended up quitting because I wasn't gonna have that. But it ended up interfering with a bunch of my jobs to the point that I couldn't work full-time anymore. And then I had to drop down to part-time. And then I couldn't even do that. I had to go to PRN. And now I'm on disability. It got so bad, my Crohn's did, that it was just in the hospital every month with the pain, the getting sick, that they actually told me what was happening is that I've had so many surgeries that my intestines, they're actually twisting on themselves and untwisting, and that there's not really much that they can do about it. Also, my pouch, my J pouch, wasn't working correctly, and they knew that because of how much trouble I was having. So at that point, it was like the dead end of that road. I had to have a permanent ostomy, and that sucked because at 29, I knew at some point I was going to have a permanent ostomy, but I didn't think it was going to happen at 29. I thought maybe 40, you know. I ended up having that, which I woke up and thought, funny story, I woke up and thought I didn't have a butt crack and that I only had one big butt cheek. That's what happens when you're on medications, folks. That's what drugs will do to you. But IBDs affected my life so heavily that, I mean, it's influenced the path I've gone down in every road. I mean, even to the point of what I wanted to do with my life as in a job. I wanted to work in healthcare. I want to be a nurse. And I mean, it also is because I grew up like being around my mom because she's an LPN, but because of the nurses that took care of me, they were incredible, and I always said I wanted to be just like them. But then also diet. So IBD really affects your diet. You have to drink 10 times more than the average person. And it's almost like every 5 or 10 minutes you have to drink because you have to drink more than others. And you got to be so conscious about it. And that's so difficult to do. Especially because I hate water. That's why you'll see me drink vitamin water. Not sponsored, by the way, but I wish. I love vitamin water, and it's actually the only, I'm going to make a video about this too, one of the only waters I've found so far that makes me feel better when I'm dehydrated or if I'm not feeling well. But I'm going to be testing other hydration type drinks to see if there's any others that are really good for you guys. But then you have to be careful of what you eat. So I can't eat seeds, nuts, I'm not supposed to eat popcorn, corn, celery, broccoli, not supposed to eat salads, like the lettuce. You're not supposed to eat any skin, so like anything that's not easily digestible because they will get stuck. Seeds, why seeds are an issue is because they don't digest the way normal foods do. They break down into like almost like sawdust, and that will build up and actually block your intestine, which I've had done multiple times because I used to be growing up like addicted to sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and all those. They're so amazing. But then also, you also have to think about what you're eating, period. So acidic foods can be rough on your stomach if you're in a flare-up. So what you eat during flare-ups are completely different than what you eat on a normal basis. And then also there's some foods that are more easily digestible, and those are easier on your stomach. So like you try to eat more of those foods when you're having a bad stomach day. It's just, having IBD is like so, makes your life like so calculated in what you do. It's very stressful, actually. I'm gonna make a video on like my diet and everything because somebody asked me about that, so I will be making that video. But since my ostomy surgery, I've been doing a lot better in that aspect, and I've had chronic pain from all of my surgeries, so I go to a pain clinic for that. It took a lot because IBD also is something people don't think about, that it messes with you mentally too, because it gets to a point where you start to think like, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen next week? To the point that you almost don't want to start planning because you're like, what if I get sick? Type of situation. And then when you do get sick, you get angry. But you also grieve, and I do have videos on this, like your old life, that getting to acceptance that you have this illness becomes very difficult. But I always say acceptance doesn't mean you like it. Acceptance means that you understand this is happening and you work through to create a manageable life. So it's been quite difficult. It's hard to tell you all my surgeries because anesthesia, I don't remember a lot of them. A lot of them were because of blockages. Some were to have had 3 ostomies. This is my 3rd and final one because it's permanent. And then in the end, it's just finding what works best, you know? That's my story. I know I didn't go too in detail, and I kind of just told you kind of what I went through and what it's like having IBD and things like that. Best I can describe IBD is stressful, unpredictable, calculating piranha inside, and painful and frustrating. That's my story. 18 surgeries, 2 diagnoses, a lot of figuring stuff out, and figuring out what works best for you. That's the big thing when it comes to this disease, is figuring what works best for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, look at the videos down below to learn about IBD and the different aspects of Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and what goes along with it, what it's like having a chronic illness, and spread the word about IBD today because it's World IBD Day. That's my only ask for my birthday, is for you guys to spread information on IBD. That's my only ask every year for my birthday, is for people to wear purple for my birthday and tell people you love and know about IBD. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to not only my story, but opening up to learning and hearing what it's like to have IBD. And stay safe and well. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you guys have any IBD stories of your own, I'd love to hear about them in the comment section down below. Or if you don't want to share them there, my email is in the description box. You can email me anytime. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe and well. Bye.